DJ Uzi, DJ Uzi. DJ Uzi, DJ Uzi.
Hey you guys, I am officially back. I have been done school for about 2 or 3 weeks, let's say. But you know, your girl had to rejuvenate. It's been a long year, so I am excited to say that I have completed my first year of law school. Great things are happening for me. I just want to say, one, we got to 300 subscribers, you guys. So welcome to anybody new. I've been trying to record, but life is just busy in law school. And if you are aspiring to go to law school, you'll figure that out very, very quickly. But I am excited to officially be back and to talk to you guys. Today's video is going to talk about my classes of the semester, finals, grades, possibility of transferring, mental health, jobs, leadership roles. A lot is in store for this video, so please stay tuned. As always, if you like my content, please like, comment, subscribe, share it to someone else who may be aspiring to go to law school and may need some advice on what to do once you get here. So no further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk about in this video is classes. This semester I had con law, property, contracts, civil procedure, legal writing in this foundations class that Quinnipiac has. So Quinnipiac puts us in this foundation class, having this connection with actual attorneys to ask them any questions. We do exercises such as client counseling, any advice on the career, negotiation, all those different type of trainings. I feel like the program probably had other incentives to get more out of it, but that's besides the point. That was another one. I think that's just easily a 1 credit that we just had to do for our first year. So as you guys know, I always do, I think I'll start by ranking the classes that were my favorite. Property and contracts are up there. They're teetering, so I'm gonna put them both at number 1 right now. Possibly civil procedure. Yes, I'm gonna say civil procedure, legal writing, and then con law. But I don't think necessarily con law is at the bottom because of the content itself, but just the class in general and how it was ran. But contracts, has always been my fave at this point. Property was very interesting, and just how far you can go with really figuring out oh, well, real property, the property that we owned, is it really mine? Is it yours? Can I exclude you from using it? All that other fun stuff. But you guys know that I am interested in entertainment and media, and that is intellectual, that falls under intellectual property. So just figuring out that, oh, I actually really like this was great for me as far as understanding kind of what classes I probably would be looking forward to next semester. All my professors were the same, besides con law and property were the first time I was taking it, but contracts was the same. My civil procedure teacher actually changed, and he was so cool, very, very helpful. And just you can tell he really cares about the students and making sure that they understand as long as you're working with him to do better. So that was really cool. And then just trying to understand civil procedure, because I've heard many students talk about how civil procedure can be complicated, and definitely can understand why it's complicated because it's civil procedure and so much into that. I'm not going to give you a breakdown of that, but literally I think civil procedure was only interesting because of my professor who I had for that class. Contracts, it was so much information, but I always find it interesting just what goes into a contract when somebody breaches, what damages can you get, and just the intricacies of a contract is what I enjoy most about it. But that's actually all on the classes front. I don't have anything exciting. I will say legal writing this semester, I felt a lot of pressure because of the fact that I had got an A- last semester, and it feels like I was always trying to catch up this semester with legal writing because we were focusing on appellate briefs. And appellate briefs are simply like at the trial courts, if the defense loses, then they can appeal that. And so you have appellate attorneys, because that is appeals, who go and argue, and you have to write a brief as to how the case was handled incorrectly based on the law rather than the facts. I had kind of difficulties really getting the hang of it because of the fact that it was kind of no structure. Last semester, there was structure in how you should be writing your memos, which is just a memorandum. And whereas the appellate briefs, we were just like thrown to the wolves of like, write it in a persuasive way. Like you have like your standard review, your question presented, and just all that other extra stuff that you may not care about right now or understand. So please don't get bogged down in that. But yeah, I feel like legal writing was a little tough for me. And because of that extra pressure I put on my own self, it made it kind of like unenjoyable. And then I did get sick and I had COVID during the year. So I forgot I had that, so I missed a couple classes, not only in legal writing, but con law as well. And so it's really easy to get left behind, not left behind, but to fall behind in a sense if you don't have all that, well, sickness and not being able to go to class. So, and then my con law professor was the type of professor who, even if you were sick, he didn't care. He was like, I can't record my class because that's against my own policy. Whatever. Also, I had convention that following week, so that also was another effect on how I was doing in those specific classes. So it was a lot of this semester catching up, and the semester moved really fast. They say that spring semester moves really fast because of the fact that it's like kind of shorter, and we didn't have any reading week, so we just went straight into finals after we got done our last class. That following week we had finals. So yes, that's what it is. And I guess that is a nice segue into finals. Don't we all just love them? I'm definitely going to come up with I'm going to record a video just talking about how you should approach a final exam answer. I know many people were asking about it. I'm definitely going to make a specific video about that. But just for these purposes, I'm going to just do a general reaction to the finals this semester. I think going into finals, I was most worried about con law, just simply because I had missed a couple classes, and that class was like 2 hours. 2 hours, or is it an hour? Close to 2 hours long. It was 1 hour and 50 minutes long. And because I was missing some of the classes, and specifically the commerce laws section, which is something you need to start from the beginning and understand. And then the professor that we had was like slightly, putting it nicely, difficult as far as like when trying to go to him for office hours. He would tell us to refer to the slides a lot. So that really wasn't a lot of help for me on that end. But, I felt like, again, like I was saying, I was playing catch up. So I was like most unsure about that class property because it was a fave, and because our professor was the type of professor who would tell us what's going to be on the exam and what was important to him. He's like, look, I only care that you know this, the cases about it, and that's it. Let's move on. He's like one of those type people, and I will say his exam was exactly how he said it was going to be. There was no tricks in between or nothing. He really did what he said he would. So as far as contracts, we did learn a lot of material. I did miss some contracts classes, so that was like kind of nerve-wracking for me. He did record the classes for me, so I was like excited about that, but you have to actually make time to actually catch up on those videos, because it's not like, oh, you have the weekend free and you can, what do you call it, it's not like you have the weekend free, whereas though you can just catch up on those videos for the classes you missed, but you also have reading. So like the class is consistently still going, and you're trying to make sure that you're as up to date as possible as you can be. So when spring break came around, that was like a saving grace for me to go back, watch the videos, and really catch up. As you can see from me just saying your spring break, if you are not caught all the way up, you're either possibly trying to catch up on readings that you probably didn't read, or even trying to do your outlines, which I will have a video specifically for that as well. So definitely contracts. I felt like most confident about contracts because I was consistently seeing the material each week and meeting with my professor, doing practice questions, having him give me feedback and telling me where I could improve and how I could do better. But I feel like once it came to the actual exam and looking at his questions, I was just like, it was like it slapped me in the face, because I'm just like, these fact patterns and these questions you asked us is nothing like you did in our practice question. So it threw me off, and I felt really bad about the exam at the end of it, because I just felt like I did horrible. I did not do well, but I still have yet to receive that grade. But yeah, for civil procedure, it was a take-home exam, which you would think, yes, take-home exam, civil procedure, but you have a word limit, and also you have to, like, obviously you don't use the internet because he wants you to use all the information you learned in class. And I feel like even if you were using the internet, it probably wouldn't help you much. But I found myself, like, because that was my last exam, trying to rush even down to like the deadline, still typing, and I'm like, I'm just happy it's all over. But I feel like I had a kind of okay experience just simply because I experienced it last semester as well. So it was just a recap of the same things, essentially. I think that's all I really have to say about finals. So I guess I can now pivot into grades. Okay, so grades. I was going to do a reaction video around this time, but I just could not contain myself, and I had to look at them right then and there. I was on the phone with my friend, and I was just like, I'm not going to get this reaction. But as of right now, I have 4 out of 5 of my grades. They're all B minuses, unfortunately, for me. And I can't wait. Well, will I wait till I'll tell you right now how I feel about it. So when you see a B minus or hear somebody say a B minus, you're like, okay, you're mastering, right? But I feel like it's kind of different in law school because of this thing that they want you to be at a B, solid B or higher in order to be seen as competitive, because you want your GPA to be over a 3.0 so that you can get a 2L summer associate position, which can be your position once you graduate from law school. I felt really disappointed because I was just like, I feel like I've been putting my all, and I'm just like, this really is just what you guys are bringing it down to. And I have to keep remembering that they're comparing us to many students. And I don't know if I said it on this page, but just simply how comparison is the thief of joy. And even if you are putting your best and you're doing well, it's just always somebody who's essentially doing better than you. And I try not to compare myself because, again, like I said, comparison is the thief of joy. But it gets so irritating when you feel like you're putting your all and it's just not showing in your grades. Now, I'm happy that I was able to change my C to a B minus this semester. That is an increase, and I want to make sure that I am acknowledging my highs, even if I don't see it as a high, because it's a big, huge accomplishment to finish my first year of law school passing. Who knows how that contracts is going to be? Like I just said, I feel like I bombed it because I was just like, what in the world is this information that you have for us? It was just, my mind was like blown. So I really don't know. I got a C plus in my midterm last semester, and I really don't know how that final exam went. So you guys will find out possibly soon, or if somebody sees this later and asks about it, then I'll let you know. But that's how I'm feeling right now. I feel like I'm feeling better now about just like where I'm going, just simply because I think I attach with my GPA. Oh, I'm not going to be able to have opportunities because I'm not at the top of my class. And I really need to distance myself away from that type of thinking, because that's just simply not true. When I get in talking about my job opportunities, you guys are going to hear like just the fact that grades are not everything, and you can still manage to get opportunities to be able to work in the legal field and to get a job after law school. Obviously, this is just my first year, but I've heard so many different people's stories and how they've done the first year of law school and just, pushing to get to wherever they need to. So that's just my all as of right now on law school grades. And I believe, I'm trying to see, I feel like it doesn't matter for me to tell you what my GPA is right now. I think it's at 2.75 or 76 actually. Last semester was 2.89, and it only went down because of the fact that it's the B minuses that's bringing it down. So that's where I'm at right now. And I guess we can get into more brighter things. And again, I know you guys are probably like, girl, you were in the B's, so you should be fine. I guess we can get into now the job opportunities that I have received and just my journey in that sense. So I was very nervous after my first semester grades. Like I said, I had a 2.89, so I had an A minus and 2 B minuses. Going into this cycle of applying to jobs, I knew I needed a job that paid, so my focus was towards 1L summer associate positions, because I knew they would pay me money and I would get experience in a law firm. That was the goal. And I feel like the problem with doing that is I cut myself off from opportunities in the public service sector, because just because it's in the public sector doesn't mean that they won't pay you. It's just a lot of them don't. And so I associated with money with law firms, which makes sense because they do pay you, for sure. And I feel like me putting a lot of focus in applying to firms, like I said, I was late to a lot of applications for public service just so that I can get legal experience inside the legal field. And I was doing this like all by myself. If any of you guys are 1Ls or incoming 1Ls, something to know, if you are looking for 1L associate positions, go to LCLD into Google. I don't know if it's a .org, but in January they post all these diversity positions for you to apply to in different cities, and it just gives you a range of just different opportunities in law firms if you are competitive in that sense, or even if you know people, if you've networked with that firm, do not, just because you're not like straight A's or whatever the case may be, does not mean that you won't be able to get a 1L summer associate position. This is just simply my experience trying to apply for these positions with the grades that I had. So it was around April and I still didn't have a job. My school, if you have a public service job, you had to apply by April 1st for work study, because they'll let you log your hours with them and they'll give you like a scholarship for the summer. But obviously I didn't have a job offer on April 1st, so I missed that deadline. And by the time I did find an unpaid position, they weren't doing it anymore. So I did eventually get a position at the Department of Social Services, but it's unpaid, so I knew I was going to have to look for a part-time position to do in order to like pay for my bills. As I've said, I went to an annual dinner. It was the George Crawford Black Bar Association, so they have this annual dinner every year, and you have like prominent lawyers and judges come to this dinner, and like it's just like an uplifting event. And my friend came as a guest with her at the law firm that she works at. So I got there, I was able to mingle with people, saw people that I knew, and the dinner was amazing. But I was able to network with different people, and then I saw my mentor, the judge. I'm not going to say his name on here, but my mentor is a judge who I actually met through the LCD program, and it's the Lawyers Collaborative Diversity. I'm probably saying that completely wrong. But LCD is an actual program where you can meet mentors and you apply and they match you with someone based off your interests on what you're trying to do in the legal field. So I saw my judge, my mentor, and I gave him a hug. And then the guy who was actually sitting at my table, he came up to my judge and like shook his hand. And I was like, oh, this is my mentor. And so he's like, I hope he's not being a bad one, whatever. Small chat. And so he was like, oh, is she trying to be a prosecutor? And my judge, he was like, well, I tried to connect her with somebody to see if they had positions open, but they were saying that there were no more positions open. So he was like, oh, he said, well, where she's at? He said, where I was living. And then he was like, oh, maybe we can do something. We can arrange something. So I'm like, hold up. I'm like, you arranging job for me? Like, I know that's right, judge. And so he was like, yeah, maybe we can do something and send me your resume. So mind you, he's at my table. I go and sit back down and I see the state attorney that I met at the LCD dinner where I met my mentor for the first time. And I was like, oh, how are you? And he's literally the deputy chief state attorney. And so I'm like, oh, I meant to connect with you on LinkedIn or whatever the case may be. And so he's like, yeah, we can definitely get her in there. We can definitely get her in there. And he's like, send your resume and then I can send it over to the intern coordinator and then we move forward from there. And with all this like excitement telling my judge that I was still looking for a position, I never said that I was looking for a paid position. I already got an unpaid, so I couldn't afford to take on another unpaid position. So I'm like, at the end of the dinner, I'm like, is this a paid position? And he's like, yeah, of course. And I was just like, oh my God, thank you, God. Like, oh my gosh. Like, it was so like nerve-wracking all semester just not to have a job, and then to finally be able to get a position just like that from my judge mentor, talking to people, knowing people. I sent my resume that night. The deputy chief state attorney, he responded to me that morning. He was like, I'm going to send your information over, send my information over. The coordinator for the interns emailed me back and was like, we're going to do a background check on you, fill out the application, and then we'll send you an offer letter after your background comes. I'm thinking it's going to take 3 days. My background check came in the next day and they sent me an offer letter. So your girl going to be at the state attorney's office this summer along with the DSS. So I am so excited. Give myself a clap. And that just shows you just right off the bat how your grades will not stop you from gaining opportunities. Don't ever feel that way. When people say in law school it's all about networking, it really is all about networking. If you can show your personality to people and let them get to know who you are, because you essentially are going to have to work with these people. So if you can get yourself in the door, if you know people, I'm telling you, put yourself out there, cold email, go on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like a dream. It's like Instagram for professionals, honestly. And attorneys love talking about themselves. So that's how I got my summer opportunities. And as you can see, I got a paid position, something that I didn't even know was going to come to me by going to this annual dinner and being able to meet so many more faces. So that was just so exciting and amazing. Your girl got a job this summer, you guys. So I'm really happy about that. It's just my little TED Talk, my little journey to getting a job. And if anybody has questions or needs help, please do not hesitate to X. I always put my Instagram in the description box and my email if you feel more comfortable, and maybe we could set up a Zoom if you feel comfortable with that. So yes, you guys, that is great news. I guess we can move on to my next segment, and that's my leadership opportunities. So next year I will be the vice president to Balsa. I'm going to be the vice president to Balsa, so I am super excited. My president is dope. We are going to do some great things, and I feel like it didn't really hit me that I was going to be vice president until I was in a meeting with other presidents, and I was like, oh. So we really about to be collaborating together, doing more community service outreach, especially if I want to practice in New York. I'm just so excited for this upcoming year and what's to like come out of it, with events, what new people I'm going to meet, and what new one else I'm going to meet at my school, just to try to get them involved in where are we going to lead Balsa from here. So that's really exciting. I did sign up for a a community service position, not position. Well, yeah, a position to be a judge, to essentially judge young debaters in New York, and they're going to tell us what criteria we should be looking at. And I think it could be like a fun opportunity to meet other practitioners, judges, and a way to get out there and to help like the community and the organization who's putting it together. So I'm very excited about that. Also, I'm still on the SDR competition member. I'm trying to see if I actually want to attempt to go to competition and see how that experience is, because I think learning to negotiate and mediation, arbitration, those are all important things to know as being an attorney, no matter if you're going to be a litigator or a transactional attorney. So I'm still doing that. I am a Themis rep still. So I will be continuing that on to the next semester. I'm telling you, once you get to law school, or if you're in law school, definitely try to become a representative to one of these bar prep programs, because you can possibly get a big discount or you can get it for free. Themis lets you get it for free if you are a representative for the 3 years. So that's what I'm doing. I've seen many people use Themis and have been successful, so I am happy about that. If you guys want to know more about how to sign up to be a rep to a bar prep company, don't hesitate to leave in the comments, or again, any of the other contacts that I have down there. You can reach out through that way. Okay, so I guess the next thing I want to talk about is my classes for next semester. I'm so excited. So I'm going to be taking Trust and Estates, doing an externship at Entertainment and Sports externship. Don't know where my placement is yet, but I'm listed in a seminar and actually going to be out there working in that field, hopefully, fingers crossed, to help me see exactly what I'm trying to do as a attorney, and possibly entertainment, well, not possibly, it should be towards entertainment. But I'm doing entertainment law, I'm taking video game law. Yes, so interesting. I'm also doing con law too. It's funny because I just said my experience with con law, but again, I don't think the material and the professor who's going to be teaching it, I'm so excited. He does a great job. And intellectual property. Intellectual property is going to encompass everything: trademarks, patents, copyright, all that nitty gritty things that you should know going into the entertainment field. Because why not? And then you focus on what do you find more interesting. But I am excited for the classes that are coming up this next semester. From what I've heard, the professors are pretty well. So we're going to hope that these things that people have said about them are indeed true. But that's all on that front for next semester classes. Next up, I want to talk about transfer prospects. So at the beginning of the year, literally this semester and kind of last semester as well, I had intentions on possibly transferring. Now, I have changed my mind for just several different reasons. I think my main reasoning for transferring was, if I didn't transfer, then I would not, if I didn't transfer to a higher ranked school, then I would not be successful in gaining opportunities into firms. And I feel like that's a negative way to think about it, because it's like, not all attorneys come from Ivy Leagues. Literally only a percentage of students come from Ivy Leagues to go into big law. And it's all about me. Even if I was to put myself in those environments at those high ranking schools, I still had to be able to sell myself and to make a firm want me, or even me want to be at a firm. And so I felt like just taking in consideration cost of moving, applications, reviewing, all that other stuff into transferring, I felt like me staying here, like I had more pros to staying here rather than to not. So, and then also on top of the reason as to why I was trying to transfer, one thing I know for sure is, if something is for me, it's for me. It can't miss me. So why take out even more loans to be at these different schools when all I'm trying to do is get my degree, become barred in the states that I think that I want to practice in, and then just go on from there, It was a big decision because I was doing a blog on like me transferring, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like I'm going to be successful. I am that girl. And hopefully where I work at in the future, they're going to obviously see that, because I bring me 100% of the time. It's either you like me or you don't. And that's fine. Not everybody's going to like you. But I'm taking control of how my future will be, to as far as an extent that I can for myself. So yes, you guys, I am not transferring. I am going to stay. And I actually like my school. There are some things that can be changed, but for the most part, I do like it. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say as far as with the transferring portion. If you guys want to know more about that, then, as always, you can reach out to me. And my last final segment that I'm excited to talk about is mental health. Mental health is so important in law school. And if you have not seen my video from last year's recap, it should be up here. This is a segment that will be included going forward. So this semester, I really was intentional about my mental health and what did it mean as far as self-care and what kept me balanced. So as you guys know, if you've been on my page or if you haven't been here, I am in a new city by myself, and I can find myself just holed up in the library or at home. I love being at home, but I just needed to find different outlets, because if I did the same thing that I did last semester, then I would turn out the same results that I did last semester. As you can see, focusing on my mental health got me the same place. But look, I had fun. I definitely did a lot more events with Balsa. Balsa has been such a help. And then obviously my friends outside of Balsa just help my experience be so great in law school. I obviously still did my readings, but if I wanted to go out, I was going out. If I felt like I needed a break, then I was taking a break. I chose me. I put me first. And it sounds crazy. It actually doesn't sound crazy at all. I don't know why I was about to say that. But putting yourself first is going to help you get the best result out of whatever you're trying to achieve. So me being able to go out, talk to people, get to know people, bond more with people, that's what brings me happiness. I'm not just realizing this, but I love to be around people and to laugh and to play games and to just do everything that brings me happiness, essentially. So I'll say my mental health was like better, but I'm not gonna lie and say that I didn't have moments of imposter syndrome or moments where I just felt really low. And law school can do that. And I was looking at a podcast, and this girl was talking about how, she became a different person in law school, and how it made her depressed, and how she started to not see herself. And I don't want that to be my story, and that's not what I want you guys to feel like is going to happen. If you do go to law school, it may happen. I don't know. Everybody is different, but I'm choosing not to let that be my story. I don't want to keep feeling ultra down because I have a B- or a C+ or whatever the case may be, because these grades don't define who I am as a person. They don't put value in who I am as a person. And I have to continuously remind myself that, and remind yourself that you are supposed to be here, and to remind yourself that you're not less than, and that people aren't better than you. You are on your own journey. You are supposed to be here. You're here for a reason. And sometimes people may just do things a little bit better than you. They may write it to a professor's liking better. It's all subjective. And I feel like law school is like this type of space where they make you feel that way. And it takes a certain type of power to not allow that toxicness to take over who you are as a person and who you want to be in law school. I was recently doing the write-on for law review. I'm going to have a separate video on that as well, just what law review is and what that process was. But there was a time, so with law review, they have it due like literally days after you're done your first exam. And I felt like I was going down this path of trying to do law review simply because of how it would look on a resume. And I was like, I found myself not enjoying it as I was doing it. And I was going to, at the end, try to write this paper in a rush for something that probably wouldn't have been my best work, all simply because I felt like it would be a resume booster. And that is something I am not trying to do at all. That's not my goal in law school. My goal in law school is to accomplish and do things that bring me genuine happiness and that's going to fill me up. School, I can't make school a negative place. It was feeling very negative all year, but we ball. Ball is life. I'm here. That's all. To like wrap that up, that's all just to say I chose me a lot this semester, and I feel like it made me feel better overall, even though I had my low moments and I felt down and it was a lot. I'm still here. I'm still pushing, and I'm telling you, you are going to make it. For anybody who's seeing this video who is in law school or who is feeling down, you got this. You made it this far. You didn't come this far just to lose, And even if you were to get to your end of your first year and just like, oh, this is not for me, that is okay as well, because this stuff is not easy. This is an experience. This is a journey. And we can essentially only do the best that we can. And that's what I'm trying to continuously tell myself. Just keep doing the best you can, Yana, because you're winning out here regardless. No matter what your grades are, you are going to be successful. Again, what's for me will be for me. And if somebody wants to discount me because of the fact of just my grades, then so be it. I can't do anything about that. And I'm not going to sit in a corner and pout about it, because that is the reality, But I'm just so excited to be back, you guys, and thank you in advance for watching my long rant, and I'll see you guys in the next video.